Singer, model, and social media celeb Natasha Bure has 3 words she'd like to share with teenagers. Let's be real. From acne and boyfriends to stress and matters of faith, the author says that no matter what teens go through, they must be open and honest about life. Welcome to the Harvest Show, Natasha.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so you have a new book out geared toward teenagers. I know that there are parents, some teenagers, and grandparents who are watching. What's your signature message in this book, Let's Be Real?
I think Let's Be Real is all about being open, being an honest you, being the most authentic version of yourself. And for me, when I started writing this book, a lot of the inspiration came from social media and how it can oftentimes be a facade, and people take pictures and videos that they see online and compare it to what their lives in real life should be like, when in reality, no one's life is going to be that filtered and that edited. And so I wanted to talk about the topics that were important to me, whether it be acne, boys, relationship, faith, beauty, fitness, anything like that. Just topics that everyday teenagers go through. And I wanted to encourage people of any age to be open and to be honest and to be the most authentic version of yourself.
You know, that's contrary to what we see on social media. We see teenagers and, everyone just having this alter ego, living life out. But you are really challenging teens to be authentic. Share one of the stories with us.
I think for me, growing up, I was always very conscious of how I looked, how I dressed, how I acted. I always wanted to be cool because society tells us, oh, this is how you're supposed to look. This is how you're supposed to act. This is society's definition of perfection. And I was constantly in my own head of always caring about what other people thought about me, whether it be what I wore to school or how I talked to my friends. And ultimately, it didn't always lead to great decisions because what society's standard is and maybe what my home standard is completely different. And so I really had to get in touch with myself and know where I stand with my morals and what I believe in, and really stick to that instead of kind of following into peer pressure and not really being who I truly am.
Well, Natasha, I know that you collaborated with your celebrity actress mom, Candace Candace Cameron Bure. What was that like working with her?
Yeah, I mean, the collaboration didn't really happen until the editing process. I didn't actually really want her to be a part of this project. Not in a mean way, I just really wanted this project to be my own and wanted to kind of take the reins. I came up with the concept, the title, the, book cover, everything. That was me. And then when it came to editing the book itself, obviously my mom has written 3 books and she is a very talented writer and she's quite a perfectionist when it comes to that. So I was like, can you please help me, edit and make sure that this sounds good? So it was nice to have someone who not only knew me, but was also very good with writing in general, obviously, to kind of be there with me through the process.
And so what are your peers saying about your message? I know it's very important. And, I can talk to my daughter all day long, but when her peer says something to her, it registers with her. What are your peers saying?
Definitely. I think the overall feedback just from the book and the message in general has definitely been positive. Everyone's super supportive and is really happy that I'm sharing this message. At the same time, it's something I still have to remind myself of every day. And I'm not saying that because I wrote this book, like I have all the answers and I'm real 24/7 and I don't have, the pressures of society on top of me. It's not that, but I still have to remind myself every day of the messages that I am trying to share to reinforce it in my own life. And I think that I'm glad that my friends are all on the same page as me and they all support me and I support them. And it's just been a great community of encouragement.
Mm-hmm. Where does God fit in your message?
God, my faith in general has just been a huge part of my life ever since I was born. I grew up in a Christian household. I was raised by Christian parents. I went to Christian school all the way up to 10th grade. So pretty much my entire life was always surrounded by it. So it's obviously played a pretty big part in my life. At the same time, that's not to say that things haven't there haven't been bumps in the road. There obviously has. My faith hasn't been perfect and my relationship with God hasn't been perfect. But for who I am and my morals and what I stand for, and I think who I am as a person, I definitely find my foundation in God, and I want to be a light to those people who maybe don't have a relationship with him.
Natasha, what would you say is one of the most important messages that you share in your book?
One of the most important messages that I share in my book? I think for me, the one that I'm very passionate about is to be the most authentic version of yourself. You can have inspirations, you can have people who you look up to, but to try to strive to be someone else is very unrealistic. And I think that you can't be the best anybody else. All of my best friends have attributes and traits that I absolutely love. They're all amazing, but I can't strive to be them because I'll never be the best them. But I can be the best Natasha, and I can work on myself every single day and take the things that make me unique, take the things that make me special, that make me Natasha, and work on that every single day. And ultimately, that's how you can have fun with life and how you can enjoy being who you are and loving yourself. And so I just want to encourage girls and boys of any age to really love themselves and appreciate who they are and strive to be the best version of that every day.
You know, for the parent who's listening saying, I have a child who is really going through a tough time, maybe bullying, or, has experimented with cutting and, really hardcore issues, what would you like to say to that parent to encourage the person?
It's difficult. I know many of my friends and many parents who have gone through, difficult times, and it's pretty difficult for parents as well to go through that, just because you obviously want to be so supportive of your child and you want to make sure that they feel loved and appreciated. And I just think that the best way to help is just to keep loving them and to just keep encouraging them. And I know for me, anytime that I'm going through difficult times, and I have before, where I feel like I'm just in a very dark place in my life where I don't really feel like myself, my parents are constantly just loving me, trying to support me, trying to encourage me, and just to give me that advice, even though I may not be listening at the moment and it may not be the first thing I want to hear. It's always important to kind of keep hearing that so that it's just being reinforced. And ultimately, whenever that person's ready to kind of turn the corner, they will, and they will keep that in their mind.
Natasha, you unabashedly share some of your stories. I mean, embarrassing things about your life, because this is not just all heavy stuff. It's about makeup, lifestyle. Kind of share one of those stories.
Oh my goodness. I have so many different embarrassing stories. I can't even pick one. I have so many funny stories about my life that I think were so important for me to share, because I know I go through them and I know everyone else goes through them. There's so many stories when it comes to boys, and just even in the writing process, it was kind of funny. I was sharing some embarrassing stories about boys and relationships, and my mom didn't even know some of the stories that I put in there. And so when she was editing it, it was kind of funny for her to be like, "Wait, this happened? What do you mean? Tell me more." And I was like, "No, you can just read what's in the book. I'm not going to talk about it with you." But I think it's fun to kind of see other people's embarrassing stories and kind of laugh and just realize that it's life and it's all a learning experience.
Well, as a teen, how important is it for teens to keep and gain their parents' trust? I'd imagine that trust is a big issue.
Oh, trust is a huge issue, especially in my family. Trust is everything, and trust has definitely been broken many times, and it's been gained back, and then it's been broken. And I think to have a really stable relationship with anybody, there has to be a level of trust, and there has to be a level of respect for one another. And I think just really listening to one another and, appreciating one another is really important to be able to have that trust within family members, brothers and sisters, boyfriend and girlfriend, whatever it may be.
Well, Natasha, I know that you sing, you model, you've been on The Voice. I mean, what's next for you as you carry this message out?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I get that question a lot, and I'm kind of just everything. I just want to be able to do everything. I love acting. I love singing. Obviously, that's a huge passion of mine, probably my number one passion. I don't know. I loved writing the book. It was super fun. I'd love to do another one. So I don't know. I don't have anything one thing that I want to conquer. I kind of want to do it all.
Well, you sound like a real teenager, 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, before I let you go, I have to tell you, and you've heard it a million times, you look exactly like your mother.
I've heard it once or twice.
Thanks for joining us here today on Harvest.
Thanks for having me.
To connect with Natasha or to get a copy of Let's Be Real, go to her website, letsberealbook.com. Harvest continues in just a moment.